Hello and welcome, everyone, to the Ring the Bell podcast. We're without Chris tonight, but Jason and John are still here, live after a tough end to your week. Um, but I think all in all, I would say it's a positive week. Going 4-2, John. I know this ending this weekend is not the way you would have liked it seen, especially after Friday night when you were really, in control
Yeah,
4-0 week. You really beat the brakes off of the
yeah,
Marlins, and someone did say it is the Marlins, and then the Marlins
yeah.
do what the Marlins do against the Phillies, and just play spoiler, and it is tiring. Um, but I'm satisfied with the week. I'm happy. You go 4-2. You needed it. You're still in the win column because you got a big week coming up. It stinks today that loss. You could have gotten another game back with the Mets losing, but I would say in all in all, I'm pretty satisfied. What about you?
I am too. I mean, it sucks that they were playing really, really good baseball. I mean, since the Kansas City series, they had three losses going into Saturday.
Yeah,
I mean, that's almost 2 weeks of great baseball, and they were on a hot streak too. So it kind of they were due for a bad game, um, on Saturday. I didn't think I thought they would bounce back today, but again, we don't really have a fifth starter right now. It's kind of
no,
it's a real problem right now, at this point in the year. I mean, it's really not going to matter once, the playoffs kick around, but, to get this division wrapped up and get, the one seed, that's going to be a problem for that part. I still think they win the division, but it's just going to be, it's going to be a lot tougher.
see, to me, I think as long because isn't it the top two seeds get the first week bye or the first round bye? Um,
Yeah, and
no, I'm
they're
okay.
second.
Like it would be nice to have home field against the Dodgers. I do think that is key. But we've went into Atlanta, who a lot of people thought the last 2 years were the team to beat,
Hmm.
and we really handled them. So as long as we get that first bye and we can set up our rotation the way we need to, I'm okay. So it's really about beating the Marlins or not, or kind of holding off the Brewers at this point. But you're right. They were on such a hot streak. I think they're still 11-4 in their last 15 games. And when you look at the positives this week, you gotta be really happy. And I know the one thing I said before, Schwarber hasn't had that moment, that month. In his last week, he's got 5 home runs. Um,
He's
so
he's going, man. He's
that's
going.
what we needed. I think he's
5 home runs last week. He 5 home runs in the first week of September. So we're only in the first week. We still have 4 more weeks of this.
so that's what you really need, especially. And I know we've beaten this horse to death with the Schwarber leadoff, but it's a lot of times it does feel like he's the guy that sets the tone. And you got to look after that. JT the last week 462. Bryce is hitting 364. Stott's hitting 370. Marsh is hitting 421. Rojas so 313. So you got to. I'm still looking at the positives. The bats are still hot. The Nola thing kind of bugged me,
He
and I
was
know
pitching really well too before yesterday.
exactly. So that's what I kind of lean back on it. It sucks with Nola, but I think we all kind of expect that Nola bump like what we had. But in the last month, he still has the 2.9 ERA. So you're looking at the upcoming series against Tampa Bay and the Mets, and you're looking at the Mets as the key one because you do. That's the team. They're 7 back, and we personally have 7 games left against the Mets. So it's tough to lose those games against the Marlins when you were playing so hot. And that the bats are woken up. The bats are where they need to be, what we all expect them to be come September.
Yeah, the boy they're hitting, it's been unbelievable. Marsh has been, the guy we were really, really annoyed about just all year long and wanted a guy to replace him. And he's been playing extremely well this last, couple of weeks. And same thing with Stott, where we were just so worried. Is this really going to be the guy? Is this really going to be the guy? Now he's putting together some great at bats. He's hitting the ball hard. He's getting on base. It's all the guys who weren't really contributing earlier in the year finally started to contribute. I think that's what's kind of making this team go.
No, yeah, that's you needed. I think we all looked and as not as big as the stars. Start and Marsh aren't your JTs are not your Harpers, but I think those are the guys on championship teams that need to perform. So, those are the guys we're looking at a lot to really step up. But I think you said it earlier, and we've really with Walker and this fifth starter. I feel like the whole year, I think it could. it could come back to bite us. The Mets,
Yeah.
with 7 left against the Mets are still playing good base. They're hot again. They did lose today, but they were playing good
7
base.
games against this next after this Tampa Bay series, these next stretch of 10 games is that 10 games? Yeah. These
Games.
are like, we said last week where that was the most important week against the Braves in Houston. Like that week was most important. Now it's looking like this is, coming up. This is another most
This is
important week
about
of the
playoff
season.
seeding.
Yeah.
The next 10 days is really about, or 10 games is really about what you're doing in the playoffs, because you have 7 against the Mets, after the Tampa Bay series, and 3 against the Brewers, who were, I think they're only like last night, so I think they're 2 out behind us, us and the Dodgers. So you don't know how that's going to fall, but that's going to tell you what you're looking at in the playoffs. So it is, man, if you struggle, if you especially against Tampa, I think Tampa, you need to really. You would
Tampa's
have
not
loved
really.
to.
They're not that
They're
good of a
not.
ball club.
So you
It's
have
gonna
to
be
sweep. You got to sweep, I think.
It's gonna be someone like Toronto, like where they could shock you and put up some runs, but they're really not. They're not that good. Like you have to. This is like you have to go in to that Mets series hot and playing well again, like you were. This is gonna be that. You're at home. You want to beat up on the Mets at home, and like there's a chance to ruin the Mets season right here. Like we can just at all. Like, we can make it sure that a division rival we're not going to see in the playoffs, because you know how that's been lately. Like
Yes.
where we're seeing division rivals in the playoffs, and
It's
they're
on the
really
lower
grueling
seed. You
series.
have something to
Yep,
prove.
yep. So let's eliminate a team that could possibly see in the playoffs.
I just don't like my problem. Like, I think with the 5th start, and you look at it, against Tampa Bay, you really have the advantage. You got Sanchez, you got Suarez, you got Wheeler going. So you really do have a chance to sweep that. I really believe you have and Tampa's not a great team like they have been in years past. But I'm nervous because, Nola, I'm going to call the last one a wash. I think he's still a good pitcher, but man, that Saturday game, you just don't know who your 5th starter is. And it really, I think at this point, going down the stretch, when you're really looking you want to get that first round bye, every game is very important. And just basically, it feels like they're throwing away a 5th game at every spot this season. It's very tough. It's very hard to continue to watch. Is there anybody that you've seen? Like, I don't know who we can even start at this point.
Wasn't there something weird with Kobe Allard, why they couldn't keep him up here or something like that? Because he was pitching
I
really,
don't
really well,
remember.
and I don't know why he's only getting those spot starts, because the few times he's been up here, he's threw well, and apparently his last couple outings in Lehigh Valley were pretty well. But like at this point, can McAble do worse? I know he's having a terrible year in AAA, but like, can he even? What I mean, could he be worse than anybody they throw out at this point? Phillips. I mean, how many runs did he give up? This week in his 6 runs in his start. They bring in this Seth Johnson. He comes in and he gives up a bunch of runs in the first inning. So and then Walker. He's every time Walker's in the game, anyways. Even he's pitching a couple innings in
Even have
relief.
the
He's giving up.
bullpen so bad.
He's
I don't know. I
he's
can't.
giving up runs. So it's like
I'm just tired of seeing.
it's
I'm so annoyed with the
it's
justification of that guy.
But I mean, honestly, people sit back and like, why are you complaining when you have, the 4 guys you have are, the best 4 guys probably in all of baseball right now. When it comes down to it, the 4 guys we have at that
Because
point.
you can't throw a 5th game. To me, you're really throwing away that 5th game every week. Like,
Yeah.
every 5th start, you're legitimately saying at this point, and it is a management problem. And I think that's the one issue I'm still having, and I can't put fully on top or for continuing to throw Walker out there, is they've shown not to care. But outside, they still, when you look at the series, the way it's set up rotation wise, I think the Phillies have a huge advantage this week. So wrapping everything down, we got 3 against Tampa, and then we have 3 against the Mets. When you're looking at it, how do you see this week playing out? Especially with, I think, well, no, how do you see it playing out first?
I think you start off with a win because Sanchez pitching. They're a team. Tampa Bay's a team that likes to homer and strike out. So I think a guy who limits home runs, that's going to be a win there. And then we go Ranger. I think Rangers. I think he's been pitching decent lately. So I think Ranger goes in there. Ranger gets the win, and then you got Wheeler. Wheeler's going to win that. So I think it's going to be a sweep. It's set up really nice to get the sweep, and then I'm assuming that's Nola. Is Nola Friday?
Nola's Friday. We don't have a starter Saturday, and they have Sanchez slotted in for Sunday.
So it's set up. You might again
it's set
that
up for a
throwaway game.
5-1 week.
Yeah. Yeah, it really looks like a 5-1 week, and I agree with you.
It looks good. And when I look at it, the one guy I like to, I'm going to admit where I was wrong. Um, I think this Carlos Estevez kid, he's coming in and he's pitching very well for us. So it is nice to have a lockdown, dude. Know who you're pitching well. And I think the one thing this week too, our bullpen has pitched pretty well
But
for the most
they've been
part.
excellent. They've been very very good. I mean, even going back to last week, they've been Estevez has been great. Hoffman's been great. Strahn's been great.
Ruiz
Ryan
has looked
Kerfoot's been
well.
great. Ruiz, I mean, they're giving Alvarado. He's looking all right in low leverage situations too. So they're pitching well. I mean, that's like the one thing like we can just rely on at this point. When but you can even saw it against Toronto on Tuesday when they went down early and they went down a lot early. I mean, they came in.
Yes.
They came in there and they settled everything down. Given the offense, besides that Walker home run, where we're like, oh, great that they just blow the chance to get. I mean, the offense is good enough to in those situations, and the bullpen can hold it. They can win the game when get into these bad bullpens.
It is, and I think that's the good thing. And that's where I know everyone was so worried, and rightfully so. We had such a big lead. But it just, what these guys are. And I really thought they could turn the corner. I am a little worried. I'm a little worried Sosa going down today. I think that's him going to the IL. It is nice to have
And
them
JT,
going.
however long, with what he's dealing with. So how
Yeah,
long is that going to be?
you don't
Someone
know
else just went to
Baum because Bohm, they
Bohm just went
didn't
to the
think he
IL too.
was. It
Yeah, he
wasn't
just went
supposed to be
to it.
that bad. And now
Yeah,
it's nice
and
to have
then
him out early of the month, though. So if you're at least going to lose him, you lose him early.
and how well can Weston Wilson and
Hold
Cody
down the
Clemens
effort
play
day.
this well? How they're going to be playing almost every single day between those two, and how long can they do that?
So I think this week I do see it being a 5-1 week. But I do think you're going to have the pitching and really your bats. I think Schwarber's hot. So if Schwarber, we've seen this kind of month from Schwarber in the past. Um, knock on wood, I don't see it stopping.
I
He
mean,
has these.
this has like a Schwarber week written all over it, where that's you're really beat up. The guy just went off last week. It seems like he's the hot bat, and you're at home, and it seems like he's just gonna let off a couple more solo home runs just to extend this record that he's now gonna probably hold for a very very long time.
Yeah, he's so, and I think that's where it comes in play. Your big guys are going to stay
I mean,
hot.
he's honestly he's facing a piece of history right now. He could, if he keeps going on how early he did set, tied this record for solo home runs, leadoff home runs in a season. I mean, he could, he can make himself comfortable, and we always have little bragging rights over people like, look at the record I have here, look at this, and honestly, it'd be extremely help the team at this. They're going to be a man down with Boom. They're going to lose Sosa, who's been a very good bench bat all year. Harper, his power is not there, so somebody needs to carry the load with the power wise on this team. Castellanos, he says, he's not a huge power guy at this point. He's a doubles guy, so somebody needs to start this week off with a bang, and carry the load and hit some home runs out of this ballpark.
Well, just in the last week, he's got 12 hits and 8 of them are extra base hits. So 5 home runs, 3 doubles. So I do think I called him. I did say he needs to have a big month, and that's what he really needs to do for us to keep this going, especially now with those bats out. But John and I both see it the same way. I'm sure Chris looks at this week as much as I'm sure he's upset at the last 2 nights, and I'm sure he's probably wanting to rip everyone. I'm sure he sees a pretty good week because we're set up good. As well as the Mets have been playing, I do think our rotation and
Is
our
it like a
bats are
party
alive.
thing in Miami? Like, are they just like for some reason why we struggle down in Miami? Like, do
It's
they like
gotta
they?
be
I mean, I know a lot of the guys on the team like to
vacation. I
party
have
and
no idea.
vacation. It's
Miami
it's
always beats us up. It's annoying. I don't get it. It's never made sense, no matter
it's
how
like,
bad they are.
and especially like after how like we're watching that game Friday before the Eagles game obviously started. I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, oh my god, this is a horrible baseball team. And then the next day they scored 9 and 10 runs the next day. It's like it's crazy. Like I guess they went out a little party and maybe or something going on the weekends. It's just lackadaisical after that point. It's just weird.
The only issue I have with it is the last couple times we've seen this team just give up. Like I was happy at least They did put up 5 runs winning the game, but last time they've kind of went cold like that and really got blown out and seemed like they didn't care. They went on huge losing streaks. So let's hope that doesn't go the way, which
Yeah,
neither one of
yeah,
us see it.
that
Again,
yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're playing some of their best baseball right now. It seems that besides the last 2 days, whoever they put in that lineup was good, contributing and doing something productive for this team. And I like to see that. I think it's going to continue into the playoffs. I mean, when they came back Thursday, I'm like, this team has like World Series winners written all over it. Like, give up 6 runs in the first inning. You start battling back, and then you give up more runs, and you come back and win that ball game. I mean, that's
it shows
what
they
good
care.
baseball.
It shows
Yes,
they care
yes.
still. Like where you hear a lot of the issues, they're not. Oh, they don't care. Like it shows.
Which
Okay,
it felt that way. They didn't care
it
for that.
did,
So
but
when
you can't do it every time. And I
no,
think once September came, you knew this team would figure it out. And I had the utmost belief that I know these players. I know Chris is I know he's always the world is falling guy with Harper. But you look at him, I tend to look more at their career stats and statistically
well,
speaking,
Harper's just saving his bullets for the playoffs.
yeah. And it's he's hurt a little bit, but I knew Casty's going to get there. You know what Schwarber does. You know he's going to have that moment. Trey's a professional guy. So those are the dudes I've always been comfortable with. It's always the Stotts and the Marshes that you just don't know. That anytime they can contribute, it's definitely a plus, and that's you need them to contribute to win
And Rojas is
championships.
contributing too. Someone who
Yes,
really had a little bit low of expectations on his
and even
contributing
Clemens
factor.
is batting 260 last week.
Yes, and then Wilson's batting up there. He's batting over 250 too. I mean, everybody's at this point the way who they are throwing out there is contributing to this team.
But yeah, so we both expect a 5-1 week. Thank you everybody for checking in. That's checked in and gave us a shout out today, Chris. We love you, buddy. Hope you feel better. I don't know if he's sick or not, but let's say he is. But listen, thank you everybody. 5-1 coming up this week after a 4-2 week last week. Again, we have to really show up. I want everybody. Next weekend's a big series. We need to have 3 straight sellouts next weekend. That's against the Mets. I'll be there Sunday.
Yeah, don't lay. Was it last year?
We can't lay an egg this year against it. We got to show out
where they had a whole section of Mets fans. They did that.
We cannot allow that to happen. It's just too big. This is too meaningful of a series.
I'll be there
up.
Saturday, so
I'll be there Sunday. Chris will be there Sunday. I cannot wait. We need a 5-1 week. We go 5-1 this week. That really, with the week after, I think that puts something against the Mets. You really solidify where you're going. So they need to do it. Thank you all. Appreciate it. As always, love you. Go Phils.